Look, I know it's been a while, but guess what? We're back. And today I want us to talk about variables and conditional statements. I think in the previous video we were talking about the different data types in Python, and this is gonna follow that up. Okay, so just in case you haven't noticed, a variable is basically just a thingy that stores data. It can be integers, floats, strings, all of that. It just stores the data, and then you can print it out or use it in other ways a bit later. Okay, I recommend you play around with this a bit until you get used to it. It's really useful, especially when it comes to programming in Python and other languages as well. Okay, another thing we can talk about is typecasting. So this thing is like when you specify the kind of variable or the kind of data a variable can store. In Python, it doesn't really affect the code. It doesn't it doesn't affect the code because Python changes the types during runtime depending on the situation and stuff, but it's really useful for code readability. Yeah, most editors allow you to view the types of a variable, and it's quite useful. It's quite useful. Okay, so for this next example, I hope you remember what I said about variables being like a thingy that stores data. So in this case, we assign the value associated with x plus 5 to the variable num. So basically, num is just the value stored inside x, which is 10 plus 5. That's why we end up getting a 15. Okay, so we move on to the conditional stuff. So basically, actually, this isn't really hard. I'll give an example. Ne? So in this case, we have a variable num, and then we assign the value of 10 to it. Okay, let's say we want to print it. Obviously, we'd print it like so, right? Okay, as you can see, it works just fine. But then let's say we wanted to print the number if it was equal to 11. If the value stored inside num was equal to 11, then we'd have to do this if thing. You do the if, you put the condition in it, and then what you want to do underneath it. Make sure you put the indentation. But as you can see, it ran the program, but nothing was printed. But then now that we change the value of num to 11, something gets printed. That's because of the if thingy. Okay, now suppose you wanted something to happen if that condition wasn't met. For that, we have this thing called the else block. You just put the else. There's no need for the condition. Just do the indentation thingy, and then do whatever you wanna do if the condition is not met here. and as you can see, it works just fine. Now let's move on. Okay, so this next part is for, like, let's say you have a secondary condition. In this case, at the top we say if the number is 11, we're gonna print that. But now we're saying if it's not 11 but then it's 13. Let's do this. And then the part at the end, the else part, is when we, like, if it's neither of those two, we do that instead. I hope you all get me. Okay, so let's try this out with like a few numbers so that, like, y'all can understand what I was trying to say. Okay, so that's just about it with variables and conditional statements. We will probably expand a bit later, but then for now, this is all you need to know. So yeah, remember to like and subscribe, or leave a comment if you feel like